Hello friends, welcome back to automation testing insider.com. This is Selenium WebDriver part 69 and today we are going to talk about data driven framework part 2. So today we'll see the actual implementation of a data driven framework using Excel sheet, how we'll prepare our test data in Excel sheet and how to pass the test data. And this is the actual implementation which we do in our real-time projects as well. We'll store the test data in Excel sheet and will supply different sets of test data from Excel sheet only, and how we do the parameterization I'll show you today. So let me just recap like what we have done so far in the previous video. So we have seen like what is data driven testing, and we have gone through the workflow as well, like how it works. Data driven testing, we have seen the definition, and later on we talked about why data driven testing is required. So we have seen couple of examples. So we have seen the login functionality. Okay, we have taken the login functionality as an example, and we have seen in the demo as well how we can do the login functionality. I mean data driven testing for login functionality. And later on we have seen another example with e-commerce application, test different products in e-commerce application. So these two examples we have taken in the last video, and we have implemented in demo this login functionality. And later on we have seen what are the different advantages of having a data driven framework, and how to implement data driven testing in your Selenium script. So that's what we have seen in the last video. We have used data provider, and we have created a separate method using that, and we have created an array to store the test data. And from using data provider, we pick the data and supply it to our test script we have seen in the last video. And and we have seen finally demo. This is the first one we have seen, like data driven example without Excel sheet. So we have stored the data in an array only, and we kept the data in the method itself, and using data provider we have supplied the data to our test script. So this is what we have seen in the last video, and today I'm going to show you the next version of that, like we'll store the test data in Excel sheet, and how we can get the data from Excel sheet and how to pass to our test script we'll see today. Yeah, so let's get it started. So Eclipse is already open here, and last time we have created a project data driven. So let me just quickly recap what are the different packages and classes we have created. So inside src in Java we have created a package called com.base. There we have base class. In base class what we have setup method, simple setup method to launch the browser and navigate to Orange HRM website. And later on we have after method, this tear down method to close the browser. And here we have created a separate method get data to prepare the test data using an array. So we have created an object type of array data, so that is of 3 rows and 2 columns. This is the size of our array, and we have supplied the data in the method itself. We have stored the data in this array. You can see 0th row 0 column. So like that, this is the 0th row and this is the first column. So we have seen in the last video how to store the test data in an array, and from here using data provider we have provided the these credentials, these user data to our test method. And we have created a inside src test Java we have created a package called com.testcases, where we have created our test class. So this is our test class, and here we have given the data provider name. So it will pick the test data from base class, this method get data method, and it will supply in terms of parameters. So we have a couple of parameters here, username and password. So since we have 2 columns only, so that's why we have taken 2 parameters. Now let's implement data driven testing using Excel sheet. Okay, so what we need to do is, first of all we need to create an Excel sheet. Okay, so we are going to create one folder over here. So right click on this project and we have an option new folder, and here I'll create, let's say, test data. So today we'll also implement the same thing, guys. We'll log in into Orange HRM application, and we'll parameterize our login functionality. We'll supply different sets of test data, and we'll see the login functionality, whether user is able to log in with different test sets of test data or not. So here my test data folder is created, and inside that what I'll do, let me go to that folder first. So this is my workspace, and here you can see the folder is created, test data, and here I'll create new Excel sheet. I give name as data, or let's say I'll give this name as user, and inside that I'll create couple of test data over here. So let's say username admin, and I'll take password as admin123. Next one I'll take admin1 and admin123. So let's keep two rows and two columns for now, two test data. Okay, this is username, this is password. So we have two sets of test data here, and let's rename this one as well, data. So this is done, and what we'll do, now we need to read the test data from Excel sheet. We need library, right? We have seen in Selenium WebDriver part 69 67 how to, we have seen the complete Excel library. So we'll take help of that complete Excel library to read the test data from Excel sheet. So I have in my previous project that library, so I'll just copy paste that one. We have this read Excel. Inside utility I have this, simply I'll copy this library and I'll put it over in my current project. So what I'll do, I'll create a separate package over here, com dot, I'll give name package utility finish, and inside that I'll put my library. So what is, yeah, so since we do not have so we need to import Apache PY jar files, right? So what I'll do, I'll open my pom.xml, and I need to keep a couple of dependencies related to Apache PY. So we have already I kept in my notepad, so you can download it from you can get it from Maven repository. You can need to just Google it, and if you are using simple Java project, then you have to download jar files. So already I have explained that how to get the jar files while explaining how to read the Excel file and how to write the Excel file in those videos. So simply you copy these dependencies and put it in your pom.xml. Yeah, so we need to have couple of dependencies. These two dependencies, one is POI dependency, and version is 4.1.2. This is the latest version, and we have POI-OOXML. So these two dependencies are required to download all the jar files related to Apache PY, and just need to make sure that you should have same version for both these dependencies. So now I'll simply do Control S, and it will download all the jar files. So let's have a look. Yeah, now you can see the error is gone, and if you see the Maven dependencies, and it will download all the jar files. I'll show you. This is POI-OOXML, and here we have POI 4.1.2. So this is how you can download the jar files using Maven dependencies. And what I'll do now, you can see there is no error in our Excel library. Okay, so this is fine. So we'll read the method from here. I mean, we'll call the methods, whatever required methods in our script. Okay, so what I'll do to read the Excel file, I need to create one method over here in this base class. Okay, so let's create that method. Last time we have created get data, so let's create public void get Excel data. Like this we can create, and now we need rows and columns. First of all, we need rows and columns, so we have method in our new Excel library, but to use the method, to call the method from here, whatever require methods from here, we need the object of this Excel library, right? So what I'll do, I'll create the object in base class. At top we can create obj and we have to import this new Excel library from com.utility package which we have created, com.utility. So simply just import. Now our object is created for Excel library and we can use all the methods which we need in our script. Okay, and what I'll do, I'll supply the path over here, Excel path. So we have seen already in Selenium WebDriver part 67 we have couple of constructors. So this is default constructor and this is parameterized constructor. So we'll take help of this parameterized constructor, so we can pass the path, Excel path dynamically, okay, in the form of parameter. If we use this one, then simply we need to give the Excel path in Excel library. Okay, so this Excel library we have to provide path over here. So instead of doing that, simply I'll dynamically I'll pass. So first let me refresh this, so we should able to see this user data. So I'll close it first of all and I'll refresh it again. So here you can see user xlsx and file, and simply I'll copy this Excel file path and I'll put in my while creating the object. I need to just put as parameter of this constructor. Okay, so my object is ready. Now simply what I'll do, I need to call, first of all we need to get the total rows count, correct count. So how to get that, we have a separate method in our Excel library, get row count, and here we need to just provide the sheet name. What is the sheet name we have? Let me open it. We have sheet name as data, so simply I'll provide data over here. Now we need total number of columns as well, so that we can iterate our for loop easily to get the data from this Excel sheet. So we need total columns. So we have obj dot get, one second, get column count, and here we'll provide the sheet name as well. Okay, so this will give me the total row number. So I'll store, this will return, this method will return int type, so I'll store in int variable, I'll say rows, and this will also give me int, I'll store in columns variable. So this is done. Now in the last video we have created an array to store the test data. So this time also we need to create the array, so with that so that we can store our test data in an array. So what I'll do, I'll create object type of array. So we can store any kind of test data, I mean any kind of data types. So let me give name data, my array name, and using new create new keyword will create the array, and I need to define the size of the array. Now last time we have given manually like 3 columns and 2 rows. Now this time we got dynamically our rows and columns. So simply I'll provide these rows over here, number of rows and columns. So it will, our array will be dynamic. So it will create our array based on the rows and columns. Now we are our array is created, and now simply I need to write for loop to get the data from Excel sheet and store in this array. So how to do that? So we'll create, I need to write two for loops. One is to iterate the rows, and another one is to iterate column wise. Okay, so outer loop is to iterate the rows, and uh, inner for loop is to iterate the column. So we'll pick the data like this, first this one and then this column, and after we'll jump to second row and we'll pick the data, first data and the second data like this. So let me write int I is equal to 0. We'll start our index from 0, the array index. Okay, and I less than, we have, will run our for loop till number of rows, and I plus plus will increment by 1, and inside this we need to write another for loop to iterate column. So column, let us start with 0, j less than, we have number of columns as well, and j plus plus. This is simple for loop we need to write. Now we need to store, we need to get the test data from Excel sheet and store in array. So how we can store data? So we have so we need to store like this. So this time we have rows and columns, right? So I and j. Now what we'll do, we have method in Excel library to get the data from Excel sheet. So we'll call that method. So what is that method? Obj dot, second, obj dot get cell data. Yeah, this is the method we have, which will read the data from Excel sheet. So here I'll provide the sheet name, what we have, data, and column number. So column number we have j we can provide here, and row number, so row number should be I. Now if you remember guys, when we have seen this get cell data method, when we talked about this Excel library, so our row will start from first, this will row, this will it won't start with 0, it will start with first only, right? The first row, this will our row, this method will treat row as start with first row only, and this will be the second row. But here the value of I will be, initially it will be 0. Okay, because our loop starts with 0, I is equal to 0, and it will compare the second point, the second thing. Okay, I less than rows. So rows is currently 2, we have 2 rows and 2 columns, correct? So I is less than 2, so it will the condition is satisfied, so it will come over here inside this for loop, and j is equal to 0. Initially j is less than 2, and then it will pick the data from here, it will execute this one. So get cell data. So how to get the data from Excel sheet? So data, this is the sheet which we have, and j is initially 0, so it will point to this column, this column, and I should be, since it starts with 1, so what I'll do, I'll do I plus 1 over here. Okay, because array index starts with 0, so we cannot keep 0 here, because our method, this method will pick row from the first row only. Okay, so that's why I have kept I plus 1 over here. So let me just show you how it will store the data. So first we need to understand our array. So array will start, array index will be 0 0, and this will be 0 1, this will be 1 0, and this would be 1 1. Now let's have a look. So initially I is equal to 0, I less than 2, I less than 2, and it will come over here, j is equal to 0. So both of I and j will be 0 0 here, and j is less than column. Okay, so yeah, it will go here, the condition is satisfied. Okay, so it will, now data of I is j, so data of I means 0 0, data of 0 0 will be, yeah, so this will call this method get cell data, and which will be get cell data of data 0, j, the value of j is 0 and the value of I is 0, so this will be data 1 0. So 1 0 means it will pick this data, 0th row and first row, sorry, 0th column and first row, so that means admin. So admin will come over here. Now second time, the increment of j, the j becomes 1. Okay, j is less than column, I mean 1 is less than 2, so it will check this one now, I mean it will store the data again. So data of 0 and 1, j, the value of I is still 0 and j is 1, and it will pick get cell data 1 and 1, data 1 and 1, so first column and first row, so the value of that would be admin 123. So admin 123 will store here, admin 123, and similarly now will increment again j with 1, so now the value of j becomes 2, so j is less than column. Okay, so this condition won't satisfy. Okay, so it will come out of this loop, I becomes 1, I is less than rows, so 1 is less than 2, so it will come to this loop. Now the value of j becomes 0, so now this time data of 1 and 0, so this is my data of 1 of data of 1 and 0, and here this would be 0 and this would be 2, so 0th column and second row, so that means admin 1. So admin 1 will store here admin 1, and similarly we'll get admin 123. How do we get that? So second time the value of j will be 2, sorry 1, because initially it was 0. Now this would be data of 2 and 1, data of 1 and 1, data of 1 of 1 and 1, one second, yeah, sorry, data of 2 and 1, guys, yeah, data of 1 and 1 only, because the value of j is 1 and I is already 1 only, correct? So this would be data of 1 and 1, so that means this index 1 and 1, and here the j value of j is 2 and this is 2, so that means 2 and 2 is the second column, sorry, value of j is 1, guys, I'm getting confused, value of j is 1, so that means 1 over here first column and second row, so the value would be admin 123. So simply admin 123. So this is how it will store the data in array, and this is how we read the data from Excel sheet and store in array. Now we need to return data. Okay, so this method will return data, and the return type should be object. Now our method is ready, and simply will provide data provider over here. So I'll give data provider, and we have to give data provider name. So last time we have given credentials, so this time what we can give in double quotes, credentials 1. Okay, our method is ready, guys. Get Excel data, and we have annotated with data provider as well. Simply either we can create a new test script or we can simply provide the data provider name over here. So let me provide data provider name here only, credentials 1, which we have created just now. Okay, and now rest will be the same. This is Selenium script driver.find element. This is our locator for username, and here we are providing username and password. So let's say if you have multiple columns there, so that in that case we need to have multiple parameters over here. Right now we have only 2 columns, so we kept 2 values over here. So we'll get the values using data provider and we'll supply in our script. So I think everything is ready. I can run this script now. So let me just run it. And later on in the script we are comparing, we added a assertion to verify whether we are user is able to log in into the application or not. So it enters username and password for the first time and login into the application, because that is good test data, and this would be the second case for second test data, and it will enter username and password, which is wrong. We have provided wrong username. So here you can see this is the first set of test data, admin and admin 123, and this is the second set of test data. So this is how you can parameterize your test. You can perform data driven testing, admin 1 and 123. So this is failed because assertion error. Now let's do one more exercise over here. What will happen if you have a header? Okay, so I'll put username over here, and this would be password. And let's have one more test data over here. Let's have correct username and password only. So out of 3 test cases, 2 test cases should be passed. So we have a header over here, guys. Now but our how many test data we have? We have 3 test data this time. Okay, so we need to just make little bit of change in our code. So how we'll do that? So this will read the number of rows, 4 rows, right? It will consider this one as well. So what I'll do, I'll create a new variable int actual rows. So that will read this will read the actual rows. It will get the total row count, and we'll do 1 minus over here. Okay, so that rows will be 4 minus 1, it will give 3. Okay, so because we have 3 rows, and we'll use these actual rows here and here as well, like this. And there is a little bit of change over here as well in get cell data method, because last time we started with here you can see the first row. Now we'll start with second row, so simply we'll put I plus 2 over here. So just little bit of change in the code, and I think rest will be the same. Yeah, now I can run this. So let me close this Excel sheet. Now this time it should run for 3 test data. So let me just run our script again. Browser is launched. It will navigate to Orange HRM. Enter first username and password. Login into the application successfully. This is the second set of test data which is wrong. The username is wrong. So login failed. Now this would be the third test case where username and password is correct. So logged in successfully. Yeah, so out of 3 test cases, 2 passed, 1 failed. So here you can see this is the first set of test data, admin 1 to 3. This is the second set of test data, admin 1 to 3, which is failed because of assertion error. And this is the third test data which is passed. So this is how you can perform data driven testing using Excel sheet. You can supply the test data from Excel sheet, and yeah, suppose you may have yeah, instead of 2 columns you may have some different columns as well. So you need to just increase the parameter over here in this login test. Similarly, if you have other test method, then you have to just pass the test data accordingly in your as per your requirement. Okay, and do not worry about notes guys, and notes and source code. So I'll provide the complete notes like we have here. In the first part we have different notes, so I'll provide in my blog. So if you navigate to Selenium tutorial, and here we have this POM data driven framework. So here I'll provide the notes. So by the time I'll publish this video, I think by that time I should be able to create a post on this. So for these two, both the parts, part 68 and 69, okay, data driven testing. And in the next video we are going to talk about Git and GitHub. So until unless if you don't miss anything previously, then I think I should be able to start Git and GitHub. I will recheck again. If anything is missing, then I'll cover, otherwise we'll start Git and GitHub. So that's all for today guys, and if you are new to my channel, then please subscribe it. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye bye.